So what exactly is fight or flight? Basically, in this movie, it stars Josh Hartnett as this agent of some sort. He's named Lucas Reyes, and all we know in the movie starts off is he has been burned. Whatever agency he works for the past 2 years, he's been on the run in Bangkok. People have been hunting him down. But because a job opportunity opens up and this agency finally reaches out to him again, he is tasked with apprehending an international fugitive known as the Ghost. What he's asked to do is apprehend this criminal that nobody knows the identity of at the airport, take them back to California, and he will basically get his life back. Unfortunately for him, like a lot of these movies, he does not know that there are a ton of other people who have an international bounty on the Ghost, so they're going to be trying to kill that person and him. And because of this, he's going to have to figure out who the Ghost is. Again, they have an anonymous identity, and he's going to have to work with the Ghost to survive dozens of international criminals coming after a $10 million bounty on both of their heads. Let me just start off by saying this movie actually surprised me a little bit for 2 reasons. First off, I don't know what Josh Hartnett was doing when he was away from acting, but the dude has been hitting the bench press. I just got to point it out. Gains are gains. Kudos to you, my dude. But in all seriousness, this movie surprised me because even though we've seen a dozen or so of this type of movie, as I already said in the intro, like Bullet Train, this movie finds a way to feel unique. And I don't want to sound corny or anything, but I really think that is because of Josh Hartnett. I was watching this movie and I was thinking, if you put a serious actor in here, I don't know if this movie would have worked. I think Josh Hartnett, given the light tone his presence just demands, kind of makes this movie feel unique and actually work tonally, because it's kind of a strange movie what they're trying to do. It's definitely trying to be an action comedy. It definitely leans into the comedy too much to a fault, I think. I'll get into that in just a sec. But this movie also surprised me because it's surprisingly graphic. It's surprisingly gory. The kills are satisfying. I did not think they were going to go this far, even with an R rating. But as a fan of horror movies, as a fan of the carnage kills that comes with these type of films sometimes, I think the action in this movie was highly satisfying, a lot better than I thought, if I'm being honest. Let's start off with the things I actually liked about this film. Josh Hartnett, as I said in the intro, I'm just a huge fan of the guy. Somehow he has this lighthearted presence. His comeback to Hollywood is awesome in my opinion. I'm glad the guy's getting movie roles again. This is a step up from Trap in my opinion. This is a better film. It fits him more. The comedic tone, just how this movie's structured, is more of a Josh Hartnett type of film than the role he was playing in Trap. He's playing this agent who's kind of a drunk and a burnout, but he has this kind of dry tone comedy to him. And that's just Josh Hartnett to a T. That's what he's always been in acting. And I think that he is just the reason this movie works. I know a lot of the times we say that, but it's true with this film. I think he's the only guy they could have cast to try to bridge this weird tonal thing they're doing with the action and the comedy, even though it didn't fully work for me. But second to him, what I actually liked a lot in this film is the action. I think when you get the action in this film, you get kills. It's kind of formulaic. It gets repetitive to some extent because it kind of feels like people are just throwing themselves at Josh Hartnett's character one at a time or in groups, and he's just disposing of them. But it is done in interesting ways. But I found the action in this movie to actually be highly satisfying because it's very loud. The sound effects are done really well. It's chaotic, like the fights he's in. It's very close camera, hand-to-hand combat with a plethora of interesting kills. As I said, they're kind of over the top and gory. I did not expect that. But all of that part of the movie is very satisfying. And I think fans of the genre, fans of action comedies like Bullet Train, these Jason Statham movies, they're gonna have a really good time with the action in this film because it's pretty unique compared to a lot of these films. It's more graphic and it's more extreme, and I think that makes this movie stand out a little bit. But do not be fooled. This is a ridiculously stupid movie. I mean, this is a movie, this might be the poster child of movies I've reviewed on this channel that you need to turn your brain off to have any fun with it, because this movie is so over the top stupid. It's self-aware, I think, so I'll give it a little bit of a pass. But this is the type of movie, if you don't like stupid movies, you can't turn your brain off, you are hyper realistic, you're probably going to hate this movie because this is one of the dumbest versions of these action comedies we have seen in years. It is never serious from start to finish. So much so, in fact, I was actually really put off by the first 10 to 15 minutes of this. I was almost ready to check out. It was not working for me. Very cringy dialogue from start to finish. That never really gets any better in my opinion, but it was just way over the top, machine gun style of jokes, joke after joke, cringe humor. It was not landing for me at all, and it really had to win me back through the action, through Josh Hartnett to get me back on board, which it eventually did. But this movie has some really cringy dialogue. It's very intense with what its humor is trying to do. If it lands for you, you're probably going to laugh start to finish. This is not really my brand of humor. It's a little bit too stupid. As I said, it is self-aware, so I give it a pass. But this is just a movie that has no pause, rapid fire jokes in that style. One of those things where it can definitely take away and just make you aware of how awkward it feels, even as an audience member. And as much as I like the action in this film and the fights and the kills, they're also ridiculously stupid as well, because there's stuff in this movie when it comes to like continuity and how people act and the damage they take. Things that should clearly kill a person that does not do any damage. Things that should barely do any damage that kill a person. And just scenes that make no sense whatsoever you have to overlook because of what this movie's trying to do. For example, there's a scene in this where he gets drugged and he realizes he's being drugged. And in that scene, the guy who drugs him tells him he gave him enough tranquilizers for a horse. But somehow in the explanation of this scene, he goes on to fist fight this guy to the death, wins the fight, all before he finally collapses while he was just stumbling around and collapsing 5 seconds earlier in the scene. Hence, he had to be explained to why he was fainting. He was drugged. So that type of stupid stuff happens all the time throughout this film. The twist or what's going on with the actual central part of this movie, fairly predictable. I called who this was going to be and what was going on with that about 15 minutes in when you get on the plane. But as for the pace of the film, I think that's enjoyable as well. You don't go more than a handful of minutes without him killing or dispatching of somebody in a goofy, funny way. So I think the way this movie is structured, as I'm explaining it, you'll probably know which camp you fall into. If you're somebody who likes hyper-realistic action movies, this is not the movie for you. I warn you immediately. But if you're like me, you're here for the Josh Hartnett comeback, you like corny action comedies, you can turn your brain off and just accept this movie is dumb as shit, but it's a good time. That's what happened for me. I thought the comedy, a little bit cringy over the top, didn't really work for me. The action of this film and the lead's performance made up for it for me, and I ended up having a pretty good time with this movie, so I recommend you check it out. So I know I got to see this one a little bit early, but if you guys do plan on checking it out, or if you do go check it out, come back, let me know what you think in the comments down below. And as always, comment down below, like the video, subscribe, all of that really helps the channel. But I will see you guys in the next review. Peace.